Hi, and welcome. I'm Stephanie Mera. I'm a somatic nutritional counselor and mentor and host of the Satiated podcast. I've been the somatic teacher at the Institute for the past decade, and I've supported women, coaches, and wellness professionals all over the world with patterns of disordered eating, emotional eating, binge eating, chronic dieting, and digestive and body image concerns. I've been published in the International Journal of Body Psychotherapy, featured in Somatic Psychotherapy Today and Authority Magazine. I am there for you every single day of the training in your private Facebook group. You also receive 2 live calls with me each month to process what is emotionally coming up for you on this journey, support with integrating the material, and where you can receive supervision with your practice clients. As you're joining, please say hi in the comments and let us know where you're joining us from. Today, I'm here with 4 of our amazing Mind Body Eating Coach graduates to discuss their experience through the training and the work they are now doing in the world since graduating. I would love to start off with each of you sharing your name and when you graduated. So let's start off with Jordana.
Hi there, my name is Jordana Nateef, and I graduated in 2017.
Awesome. And let's go to Jenny.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny Eden Burke, and I graduated in January of 2016.
Awesome. And Joni.
Hey, my name is Joni. I graduated back in May 2018.
And Jessica. Ooh, I don't know if we heard you.
Hi, I'm Jessica. Sorry, I didn't unmute myself. Total rookie. Just kidding. I'm Jessica, and I graduated in 2016.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, that it's a practice, like that mute button of just like, remembering to turn off the mute button. Wonderful. So really appreciate all of you being here today. And first off, let's start off with what drew you to the Mind Body Eating Coach certification training, and how did it feel different than other trainings you have done or were looking at? And anybody who wants to go first, we can go popcorn style. Yeah, Jenny.
So I was working in the field of health and wellness for 13 years. I actually worked in a national weight and health management company, working with people on aggressive weight loss using meal replacements and very highly structured, medically supervised diets. And I did it, for a very long time. And the last few years, I started to realize, I'm like, like we keep getting recidivism. We keep having these people lose weight and gain it back and come back. And what are we really teaching them? Are we really getting to the root cause? Or are we just sort of like doing this quick fix, get the weight off, and then learning nothing else? And, I was always an emotional eater. I was a binge eater growing up. I had struggles with disordered eating and body image. And it wasn't until the last few years that I was like, something doesn't feel right. And I just started researching and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this program exists. Like, this is so perfect for me because I really wanted to get to the root cause of what drives people to binge eat, what drives people to emotionally eat or stress eat. And it can't just be this like calories in, calories out thing and ignore everything else. And so for me, I was on a mission to really get a lot deeper into really emotional eating and what are the root causes. And so when I saw the program, it was just sort of it checked every box, and I was super excited to learn more, and I just ate up everything. So
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. Isn't that so true of just the surface level layers that a lot of the things that you listed get addressed with a lot of other certifications and trainings, and we go just that one layer deeper. Like you were talking about what's the root cause here? Like, what is the wisdom to this? I love that you're mentioning that because that's so important. It's like we can continue to address the surface layer, but there's a reason why all of these are happening to begin with. Yeah, Jordana, you had something you wanted to add.
Yes, I would love to just add on to that by saying for myself, it was really actually a personal journey that drove me to the certification around my own struggles with overeating or binge eating, disordered eating, and really wanting to understand that. I actually initially took Mark's like course that goes out more broadly as that you can take for yourself. And I was like, I want to go deeper. This is so interesting. And then I took the certification, and it really helped actually guide me in the direction of how I wanted to support others. I have been within the body transformation industry now for several years. And to me, there's just this huge gap between helping someone reach a goal and how to help them stay there, and also how to do it sustainably, and thinking about more than just like Jessica was saying, like calories in, calories out. It's really about the why, the how that you get to where you want to be versus where you are today, and doing that in a mindful, sustainable process. So that's what really drew me in certification. It gave me everything that I really needed that wasn't available anywhere else.
Yeah, I appreciate you also bringing in the aspect of it can start with just a personal journey. That just because you have maybe struggled in your relationship with your food and your body, it actually makes you more understanding and compassionate as a future coach, that you get where that person has been, and doesn't necessarily need to be a drawback or something that means, oh, I can't do this work because I've been through this or still working through it. You know, we're all human beings. We're constantly growing and evolving. Yeah, Joni, you want to add something?
Yeah, I'd say if anything, I've noticed on this journey that it's a benefit if you've even been on the journey or are still on the journey, because one, you're sharing really authentically, which gets people to connect with you. And the amount of people that come to me and say, the reason that I chose to work with you is because you understand it. I've gone to see all of these different therapists, and, you know, they're like an old white male or whatever, and they just do not understand what this is like, this struggle, this daily struggle with food, and what it's like to be in my head, and you get it. And I get even other therapists that now come to work with me because of the work that we've learned here at the Institute, because we really get to the root cause. And so many of them say, you know, what I've learned from you is what I now do with my clients, because so much of what I learned in school doesn't work. So yeah, I definitely want to say to anyone who's watching this, if you're on the journey yourself, that can be a really great asset for you to connect with the people you're going to be working with.
Yeah, I really appreciate you naming that, Joni, and just I've seen a lot of our graduates team up with therapists and actually be able to support their clients on their food and body journey on an even deeper level by teaming up with a mind, body, eating coach. So I think that's so, so important. Jessica, did you have anything that you wanted to hop in and add to this? Ooh, mute. I'm like, I want to hear all your amazing words that you're saying.
Oh my gosh. So I was specifically drawn, kind of like what you just mentioned about the therapy aspect. So I was working with a registered dietitian, and we were primarily making meal plans and, you know, going about things in a clinical way. And we kind of that same aha moment that, you know, some of our other students have shared or graduates have shared, where it's just like, this isn't working, this isn't sustainable, why aren't people you know, following it and sticking to it? And, you know, we did make the connection that, you know what, there is an emotional root here, and we started referring out to therapists a lot. We're like, maybe, you know, a therapist can be a better support for you. So when we found IPE, I felt like it was a program that helped me bridge the gap between traditional nutrition education and therapy. I really wanted to be able to intercept the clients where they were at right now without just, you know, telling them to go see a therapist. And so it was just a huge step towards building the way that we work with clients now.
Oh, that is awesome. I love just how you identified the blending of everything that you get here. That is like so beautifully said. So let's move on to, what concept did you learn that you use the most in your practice, or felt the most profound to you? And again, just like popcorns. Yeah, Joni.
Yeah, for me, it was that food is a symptom. That just blew my mind in the beginning. And the more I started, I guess, going down that route and digging deeper into that, it not only did it change my own relationship with food and body image, but it's what really helps me help people the most. And it takes away so much judgment, so much shame. We are not broken. There's nothing wrong with us. Yeah, we're not like lacking willpower or self-control. It's a symptom. There's something else going on. And when you can invite that curiosity and compassion, and that's something that I feel Mark teaches so much about, that then allows us to get to what.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing in the word curiosity. I feel like that is one of my top favorite words that I'm saying so much, that it's not that you are doing anything wrong or bad or even shameful in your relationship with your food and your body. That is all happening for a reason. And something that you learn in the training that you beautifully spoke to is bringing in that curiosity as a coach to be like, "Ooh, what is this here to guide my client in some way?" And that it's actually not something that needs to be fixed, because it's actually not the problem. It's the doorway. It's the helpful thing that is going to guide you as a coach towards where your client's being called to grow. Jordana, did you want to add something? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, first I just love how Joni shared that, because that is the such a beautifully said way of how we support our clients with viewing food versus how they used to, and I share that with my clients as well. The other element that I get the most out of the work that I do is around body image as well, how we view our bodies, as versus, like, an adornment versus, or an ornament versus a useful element to live our lives through. Helping clients reframe that and seeing ourselves really differently is a huge piece of work that applies to the work that I do today, especially through body transformation, where people have very specific goals to be working with a personal trainer and a nutritionist, and bringing in that mind body nutrition element and being able to really see yourself as whole already, regardless of the goals that you have, is pretty transformational for people to really start to have that grasp around thinking differently about their journeys.
Yeah, thanks so much for naming that, of that it is a journey, and that you get to see yourself as whole and complete every single step of the way. I think that's a perspective that we really take in the training, that you got to see the people that you work with as whole and complete now, not as something to be fixed. Because everybody is whole and complete as they are now, regardless of what you're navigating. And that actually these are just, if we reframed it, like more opportunities for growth and to learn more about yourself. All right. Well, let's, yeah. Go ahead, Jenny.
I just wanted to add that one of the first things that we learned, that literally, it's so basic, but it literally blew my mind, was the whole concept of parasympathetic versus sympathetic dominance in your nervous system, and learning how the rest and digest phase can actually help us digest our food better, and like being in a calm state of not only what we're thinking about food, how we're eating, but also slowing down when we eat, and understanding that so much of the stress eating or the compulsive impulsive eating has to do with being in a state of your nervous system where you are in a fight or flight response. And so of course you're not going to be like, well, let me make this nice green smoothie right now, and like, your brain is being hijacked, really. And that was so powerful and meaningful for me on a personal level. And now a lot of what I do is help people to get into parasympathetic response as a way of healing their relationship with food, because it's so powerful.
I love that you're bringing in this tool, because I think it brings like that piece that we've been talking about around like self-judgment and self-shame that sometimes can come up on a food and body healing journey, that you do not choose how your nervous system responds. Your nervous system just does it automatically. That's why it's such a beautiful system. It comes in to try and protect you. And that, like, what you are referencing of what you learn in the training is we get to facilitate and support our clients in bringing in more tools into their life of how to learn how to step back into that parasympathetic nervous system response and get into that rest and digest mode. And sometimes that can make the most profound shift where you haven't even changed anything in what you're eating or how you're moving, and just by feeling more relaxed in your body. Nailed it. All right. Well, let's move on to the next question. Aside from, the training you how to coach and work with others, did you experience any personal transformation, value, or positive impact on your personal life as you went through the training? And I know we've referenced this a little bit before, and I'd love if, you found like, wow, this was really what I was working on myself through the training, just to hear more about that, because it does get to be a very personal journey as well. Jessica, yeah.
Hi, I'm happy to speak on this. It sounds simple, but I think really getting to the root, feeling fully embodied in self-acceptance was something that I think I was able to embody throughout the training. I don't think that I had that before the training. I maybe intellectually wanted it, or, felt like I could do it occasionally, but with all the tools and the things that we learned, I truly felt that, especially when I think about the phases of nutrition, that was really valuable to me, thinking like, no matter what phase I am in life, and that also really came in to play when I recently had a child, right? Because we go through so many different phases and our body changes. And so really being able to just be okay and embody wherever I'm at and know that things are a phase really, really helped me find that personal acceptance and fully believe in it afterwards.
Oh, so beautifully said. And yeah, you brought in another tool that we teach at the phases of nourishment, and really bringing in that we go through a lot of different phases throughout our life. And that's actually pretty like normal, if we want to use that word, and that we actually get to just identify, ooh, what phase might I be in right now, and what is it here to teach me? And I'm really hearing that even learning about going in and out of different phases helped with embodiment, because it's like, oh, I just get to relax into this is just where I am right now. I don't have to push myself to be somewhere else. And yeah, I'm so excited that that was such a supportive aspect to the training for you. Joni, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, so I just wanted to even start by sharing how the cool thing that I really think about this training and all the people that have gone through it is we've all taken different parts and gone and specialized in that. Like the work that I do is so much deeper into binge eating and emotional eating, that the emotional side of it. But then hearing Jessica talk about how she's taken all the nutritional portions, and then, oh, I just love that. But to answer your question, I so vividly remember there was a module when Mark was talking about like the joy of eating and giving yourself permission to enjoy food. And it was back when I was still in the middle of this really tough gut protocol, and I was kind of very much restricting back at that point. And I just remember it was just the start of like summer here in Australia. It was mango season, and I had not eaten a piece of fruit in 2 years because I thought that fruit was bad for us. And I just, on that day, I just went to the market. I got an entire tray of mangoes, and I was like, I'm just going to enjoy my food from today on. And that, I mean, there's so many parts of this training that made an impact on me, but that one definitely stands.
Oh my gosh, I actually think I remember you talking about that in the training. And just what a joyous experience that was for you. So thank you for reminding me of that experience for you. And that, yeah, that like I find going through the training, so many individuals have these like light bulb aha moments. And you get to actually start having these very celebratory, joyous experiences with food that may have not happened in years, especially when maybe you've been following certain protocols. And sometimes those protocols you need to take a break on, so that you can actually step back into the pleasure of just eating again and then rediscover what works for you. Jenny, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, just that I was at this weight management company for 13 years, and a big part of their philosophy was that the educators and the coaches would be modeling for the clients what we do. So I was eating a lot of like artificially sweetened shakes and like prepackaged meals, and I was enjoying none of it and just doing it. And like, my weight would cycle over and over again. And when I found the program, it was the last time that I ever dieted. And for me, it was so much freedom in letting go of that. I couldn't even believe. And the best part of all is that the weight cycling stopped when I was able to incorporate so many of the tools from the Institute, mindful eating and being present in my body and all these things. Like, it made a profound impact on my personal life. Just the freedom that you feel, the food freedom and the ability to just, like someone else said, like acceptance of your body and focusing on what it can do for you and how great it can feel as opposed to what it just looks like was so freeing. And it really just started. I was still working at my company when I did the program, and it was so mind boggling that I could let go of all that and then see what was on the other side. So I think that a lot of folks, at least in my year, had a very similar experiences where they were like, "Oh my gosh, like, oh, I can enjoy food. Oh, yay, mangoes," like, and all this stuff. Like, can you imagine all the things that we've been depriving because of silly messages that we've gotten over the years, the conditioning that we've gotten from diet culture, and being able to release that was huge.
Yeah, I am feeling like so much lightness in my body right now, just hearing you talk about the food freedom that you experienced. And yeah, just that stepping off the chronic dieting cycle. It is possible, and how much freedom and joy and pleasure and embodiment is on the other side of that. Like, I'm so excited that that is like also a journey that got to happen for you. Jordan, you also wanted to add something.
I just wanted to add that we also talk about being in different places of discovery with your food. And I always come back to that mindset of being an adventurer with food now. And I think everyone's kind of touching on this like joy of eating, this, even I remember sitting down and trying to rediscover foods for myself, how they tasted, their textures, like, a raspberry tastes really different to me now than it did 7 years ago before I went through this training because of the joy and the adventure and that reconnection between your taste buds and your mind and how you're feeling about your body when you're eating those different types of foods. And it's kind of like the mango story. I remember sitting down and being like, I'm gonna like retaste some of my favorite food with just this fresh new perspective on it and just this like explosiveness of flavors, and you really do have this whole new satiation, which is wonderful. But then you also feel like you're kind of like this adventurer with food again, and you get to rediscover and have this beautiful joy around food that you didn't have before. And it's, you just wish that for everybody.
Uh, yes, absolutely. That I find that so many of the individuals going through the training have this just complete rediscovery of food. And it takes a lot of experimentation because oftentimes we're approaching food from this very mental place of, oh, this food is good for me or this food is bad for me. And when we actually strip it all away and say, this is a food, how do I actually experience this food in my unique body? It's like, like, oh my gosh, this is actually what this tastes like, or this is actually how this digests in my body when I strip away all the labels. There are a lot of health coaching trainings out there. Mark mentioned actually a few in our live yesterday. And I'm curious from your perspectives, what did you feel set this training apart? And what surprised you about going through this training that maybe you weren't expecting? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it was, oh, sorry, who was going to go? Me? Okay. I think it was everything that the other trainings were not. So everything else was very prescriptive around how much you should eat, how you must look at food. Everything was so prescriptive and directive. And this training really leaves things open to personal interpretation and allows you to go on this journey of discovery and allows you to go really deep on a personal journey, which does create this huge amount of empathy when you go to actually work with other clients. And what I love about it is that it really allows you to take what you're passionate about and apply it to work with the people that you feel most passion for, or the area of development that you want to explore the most. The other piece that I found was really helpful in my line of work is that it's so complementary to, well, it's opposing and complementary. So I take so many of the pieces from my mind body nutrition training and fill in the gaps of all of the other pieces around what you might traditionally see as traditional diet culture around nutrition and training and supporting people through a body transformation journey of their choosing. But it's really taking that traditional element and putting that mind body nutrition perspective over top of it, which really personalizes the journey and gives me this whole new set of tools to recalibrate for my clients how to actually see their bodies, how to see their nutrition in this just whole different light. And it's made such a profound impact on them, so much more so than without having those pieces integrated into what I know and how I work.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing in that this training can feel both complementary to the work that you've already maybe learned in other programs and trainings, and is going to sometimes be in direct contrast to like, oh, wow, now that I've realized like I don't want to give my client a meal plan anymore, or whatever it was that you were doing before. It's really this, I've seen a lot of our coaches integrate and find a very unique way of working based off of their previous educational experiences and what they're learning in the training as well. And you get to create something really unique to you. And there is someone out there looking for that thing that you've created. Anybody else want to hop in?
I just want to say the breadth of the material was surprising. Like, it was such a like potpourri of so many interesting topics, ranging from digestion to body image to, you know, mindful eating and food, all kinds of stuff. And one of the things that I was surprised by was the approach on the feminine versus masculine, because that's something I had never ever considered before or even thought about. And it's really interesting. And it's interesting how we infuse masculine or feminine energy into our behaviors around food and around exercise and around weight loss, if that's something people are looking for. And it's just was very interesting to me and very different than anything I had experienced before.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that in. We bring in a lot of, just to explain a little bit more, we bring in a lot of like archetype work and energy work of just like what energy is someone coming at a particular food or a meal or even something else in their life, because we really blend a lot of health coaching and life coaching throughout this training. And so sometimes when we start focusing on someone's relationship with food and even like the archetype that they're showing up in that relationship with food, it's like, oh, where else is this playing out in my life as well? Where it's often not just playing out in someone's relationship with food, it's playing out like everywhere in their relationships and their career. And so that's why we find it's really important to explore all these many different areas. All right, well, we can move on to, do you feel this training is comprehensive for someone who does not have a background in nutrition or well-being and is looking for a career change? You know, just as we were talking about different educational experiences that a student might come in with, some individuals are coming from a complete different place. And, you know, do you feel like the training will prepare them to start with clients and build a coaching practice? Yeah, Joni, go for it.
I can definitely speak to that because I come from a corporate background. I worked in the finance industry for 10 years. I have a master's in software engineering, just to kind of show that this is nothing related to food or body image or any of that. And I don't really know, I couldn't really answer your previous question because I had never compared this training with any others, because I literally just, when I was on my own journey, I was like, suddenly it popped in my mind, what is the psychology behind eating? And so I literally typed in psychology of eating, and you guys popped up, and I was like, okay, this is the answer to my prayers. So yes, I started the training. I went through the whole training, and I think anyone who is motivated to solve this problem, either for themselves and for other people, has everything they need within this training, because it's not even just what Mark teaches, it's all the other resources that come with it. Like every single module has all these book recommendations. I didn't read all of them, but I read a lot, and they helped so much. And I think you kind of start, you combine the training with your own research on the topic, and yeah, I'm very happy in what I do today. I feel very confident in this career change. So I absolutely believe that anyone can do this. Yeah.
I so appreciate you bringing in that, like, yeah, I did not have a background in this. I was like, did not educate in this previously. And that, yeah, this training is so comprehensive that you can come from a completely different place and say, okay, starting today, I'm going to be a mind body eating coach, and I feel confident that I can do this. And I think that's so important because, especially, yeah, so I think it's so important because also that no, it's all good. That I find a lot of individuals, like, depending upon maybe they've been in a certain career for so long, that there's this like inner dialogue that comes up of, oh, I can't start over again. I can't do that. It's too late for me. And it's really not. That it's wherever you are, if you have been looking at this training for years and feeling drawn to this content, and even if it starts with that little twinkle of, I really want to do this for myself, and then you discover you want to then bring that and be a coach to other individuals, that you don't have to have a background in this to just start with that simple, small little baby step towards this. Joni, what did you want to add? What did you want to say?
Yeah, and I wanted to add that even if you come from a different career, I think there's always parts of that career that are transferable to this work. Because actually, when I think about it, as in my previous role, I was a manager. I was essentially hosting Zoom calls with people across four like time zones, and I'm like, that's kind of what I do now in my group coaching. But then also the really like solutions oriented approach that I learned from corporate, applying that to this work has I feel an edge. So I think that every single person who's coming to this from a different career can take bits of that career and apply it to this work, and that is a strength.
Oh my gosh, I love that piece of wisdom. Yes, you are spot on, because there's so many things that we learn in other careers that lend itself to all of the work that you might do as a coach. Like, let's say you were in customer service. All of that is going to support you in this like new career. Let's say your job called for you to be really patient with a team. I love that you're pointing out that you might already be collecting little traits and skills from your current career that are completely going to translate into being a coach as well. Did anybody else want to add? And yeah, Jessica, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to offer that, playing off on that exploring role, if you're feeling insecure that you don't have any previous education or background in nutrition or well-being, it's almost like a gift because you don't have any preconceived notions or beliefs that you'll have to, match up against with what you're learning. So I definitely think that it is comprehensive enough for you to explore and learn. And whatever you learn from this course, you can definitely take that and, you know, get clients and teach them what you know.
Oh my gosh, I had like an internal like slow clap happening inside my body. I'm just like, yes, that is like spot on. Just, yeah, actually, you come with such a clean slate of like, I'm just going to be a sponge and receive this new material because this is a brand new journey and adventure you're embarking on. I love that. So, something else about this. Oh, yeah, Jordana, go ahead.
I was just going to add that truly, and Mark says this too somewhere in the training, you really only need to be one step ahead of the people that you want to serve and support. And so, whether you come with a wealth of knowledge or zero knowledge, you are already ready to support some part of a community of people, and just to be open to receiving who you're going to end up working with, because oftentimes you will see yourself in your clients, a previous version of yourself in your clients, and that is who's often attracted to you. And that was actually such a beautiful gift in what I do as well, and being open to that mindset, because it's very reciprocal, the kind of work that you're going to be doing. So as you support someone through something, you are then going to be like, what can I take away from that as well? And it's really always, a give and take, and very cyclical.
Yeah, so well said that it's just it's a constant practice and unfolding process. Yeah. So, the training is long distance learning, and we have students from all over the world. Joni, you said you're in Australia. And so, did you feel supported and connected during the training? And what was your favorite, part or element of the other little pieces? You've already started to name, you get like a ton of book resources. We have live calls, we have a private Facebook page. So did you have kind of a favorite like extra element piece that was added onto the training? Yeah, Jenny.
Yeah, I really loved the support that we got from the community on all levels and facets. Like, I was a little bit concerned. I had never done a long distance kind of program before. And I was also working full time when I started. So I was concerned, like, how am I going to do all this? But there is support calls. The Facebook group is amazing. You're amazing moderating that group. It's so supportive. And also, I'm not sure if you guys still do this, but we had peer trainers or people we were able to speak to once a month. And I developed such a great relationship with the person I was working with. She actually is in Canada, and she eventually became a client actually. And we would bounce ideas off of each other. And that was amazing. To just have someone that you could talk to about what you're learning and integrate it together and kind of bounce ideas off each other and go even deeper into the material was really great.
Yeah, thanks so much for naming that, Jenny. We do still have that. So we call it a peer coaching program that we offer. And so basically, when you sign up for the training, if you want to be teamed up with a peer, basically you will have that peer to talk with one-on-one throughout the entire training. And we offer little questions that you can ask each other, explorations you can dive into just to deepen into the material with one other person. And I'm so glad to hear that that was such a beautiful, friendship and relationship that you two got to cultivate. Joni, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I loved my peer coach. Her and I, we got on like a house on fire. We ended up meeting in Colorado at the graduation event and sharing a room, and we're still in touch today. That's been a really great part of the training. Because and obviously on the other side of the world, I couldn't always make the live calls, and that was fine. But I took Mark with me on my daily walks, so I just transferred the files onto Spotify, popped them in my ears, and just went walking every single day with Mark in my ears, and that was great. And like Jessica said, the community is just amazing. Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I love that you're bringing in. So, something about the training is you can download all the material. And yeah, you can put it on iTunes, you can put it on Spotify, you can take it with you. I've heard people listening in the car when they're driving back and forth from someplace, on a walk, cleaning the kitchen. Like, you can really take the material everywhere you go. And it's a really, funny thing at the end of the training. So many individuals say that they feel like they have Mark's voice just in their head and that they're going to miss it at the end of the training, because it's like he's been with you side by side for like 8 months period of time, that it's just like, oh, I'm missing my friend. It was just like in my ear for 8 months of time. Jordana, did you want to bring in something as well?
I loved the book recommendations so much. They were amazing, extremely extensive. I still reference much of the material today and go back to elements that I've highlighted or have sticky tabs in all over the place. And I did love that it was a remote and downloadable. I actually listened to it at the time was living in Toronto, and I was commuting to and from work. And so I was on the subway, studying and listening to Mark, and on my way to the career I had at the moment while I was working towards the career that I wanted in the future. And that was, every day for 8 months. It was amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to take it with you wherever you were. Jessica, was there any pieces that you wanted to add in?
Well, I don't know. I feel like now I love a remote learning experience, especially now that we've lived through 2020. I just think that you can still get so much value and benefit from not necessarily being in the same room as everybody. So I wouldn't let that stop you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. If anything, it's a really interesting experience if you might meet people because like all of you are all over the world and you might meet people that you would have never met before. It's amazing what like Zoom and all of these platforms have made possible of just being able to connect with people anywhere, and you get really different perspectives also just based off of where someone is at in the world and how they're integrating the material in their very unique way. So I would love to hear more details on your coaching practice. What kinds of clients do you work with now? What does your coaching practice look like? And how did going through this training support you in creating the kind of coaching practice you wanted? And Jessica, I would love to start off with you and just hearing about your practice and how long did it take you to set up your practice as a coach and what was that process like for you?
Hi, yes. I love that question as far as like how long does it take to set it up? Because I have been coaching. I actually was coaching when I started this course, which I think looking back in hindsight is so funny because I learned so much from this. I wonder how did I ever help anyone before I took this course? So I was already coaching and then I did IPE and I kept coaching. And now it's been about 7 years since I graduated and I have learned other things along the way. So I just, I started immediately, but I still feel like I'm setting up, right? Because I'm always learning, we're always evolving, and new things, come into play as far as the philosophy that I want to share with my clients. So it is like a plant that I'm constantly watering and growing and planting new seeds, you know. Um, but yeah, I guess the type of clients that I work with now, these are primarily people who have dieted in the past, who have now we're really lucky. I think it's shifted. In 2016 when I graduated, there was not quite as much discussion about diet culture and not dieting as a means to find health. And now we're lucky because I think that is shifting. So a lot of my clients have done a little bit of both where they've explored dieting and then they explored not dieting. And for whatever reason, the not dieting still felt unsafe to them, or maybe it was presented in a way that was unhelpful to them. So I am intercepting people like this who are like just so ready to figure it out. And, part of it is that there's maybe nothing to figure out. So just really guiding them on this journey as far as, I call myself a body image and weight loss coach. And I think that, within this community, people would be like, weight loss, but I thought we were not doing weight loss. But a lot of the reason why I still use that title is because I know that that's what people are seeking. And it's not that I'm trying to bait and switch them. It's because I just know that there's a lot of confusion and misplaced desire. And I want to be able to intercept those people who are looking for both things and trying to figure it all out. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that update. And so, a couple of things. First, I love that you're bringing in it's a process, and that actually,
Yeah.
when you're building a coaching business, it is like a little plant. That it's just like, ooh, what does my plant need today? Does it need new soil? Does it need new seeds? Does it need to be like, does it need extra light? Like, that your coaching business is kind of very similar, and that it's an ongoing evolution of just starting out with like, okay, I'm going to start working with clients and then I'm going to go from there. And it gets to evolve and build and grow. And I've really, I follow you on social media. I've really seen you do that. And, I totally hear you on, because Mark even talked about yesterday how a lot of the times we talk about weight and we kind of like end it there because there's so much that comes up for a person when they hear weight loss or even weight gain. And it's just like, okay, and the person that you want to work with, they're concerned about weight loss. And sometimes that's not what's needed. And that's a lot of what we explore in the training is like working with that individual who maybe that's been a focus for so long. And how can we actually support them in starting to step back into their life? That maybe the focus on weight loss is actually feeling protective in some way, and protective over what? That's something that we get to explore as coaches.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, I think that people are, it's kind of like their little wubby, just like the idea of weight loss, it's really hard for them to let go. So if I can help them let it go in our process, that's great. Or maybe they actually do find it just from, balancing out what they're doing. But yeah, I kind of debate using that term because even I know that it's triggering, but I still am embracing it for now. For as long as people that are seeking diets and Googling what is the best way to eat, like I'm going to be there to intercept those people if at all possible.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing just where you're coming at and just this evolution that you're constantly in with your coaching. Joni, what does your practice look like these days and who are you working with? I know you mentioned a little bit before.
Yes, so I took the training and same, I kind of started working with people straight away. I really embraced that concept that Mark teaches of you can just be one step ahead. And in the beginning, I started for free, and then I started learning more, and then I started charging a little bit, and so it really built up quite organically. But really, what I specialize in is helping people who have struggled with binge eating and emotional eating, and specifically people who have, I guess, struggled with food and weight for as long as they can remember, from that early childhood ages. And many people that I come across, many just kind of very similar to me, didn't even know they had an issue. They, like, for me, most of the time, I had no idea that I was binge eating. I think I only really heard the word maybe 3 months before I found the training. I always just assumed that I wasn't very good at sticking to a diet. But then as I started digging deeper, I started to realize, there's something emotional here. And food is way more important for me, especially to comfort me in stressful moments, than I thought it was. And so that's what I've really started to specialize in. And I've added on another training where I've actually retrained as a hypnotherapist. And I combine that really beautifully with the training from the Institute to really get to that root cause and heal the emotional wounds that are at the source of this. And yeah, I just love this work.
Oh, that's amazing. That was exactly what we were talking about before, of the educational experiences never end. You get to continue to blend and blend and blend all of these things that you continue to learn. And I'm also hearing that like the going through the training really supported you in cultivating a lot of new insight in like, oh wow, this is what I'm going through. And it brought in new insights of like, oh, okay, there's some wisdom here. Why am I doing this? Let me bring that curiosity we were talking about before. Get really curious about this. I'm wondering, since you have graduated, how have you continued to feel supported by the Institute even after you graduated?
Yeah, I think the community is phenomenal, and you are amazing. For anyone who's joining this community, you get to be a part of Stephanie's world, and that's just phenomenal. But yeah, I think the community has been absolutely fantastic, and I go into the group, into the alumni group quite often, just to see the posts and see what's popping up, and if I ever have a question, I can ask it there, and it's been a great resource.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm feeling all sorts of warm fuzzies right now. I'm so glad you have felt supported. And so no matter how long it has been since any of our graduates have graduated, we have a private Facebook alumni page that you can literally come in, talk about what you're still working through, what you're looking to work on in your business, receive support around your clients. Even if there's a client that maybe isn't a best fit for you, you can reach out on that page and refer it to another coach. So we really have such a amazing community that is so unbelievably supportive. I just love connecting with this community because it's just such amazing individuals. Jordana, I would love to hear more about your current practice and the clients that you're working with.
Sure. My biggest philosophy is that the biggest project you'll ever work on is you. And that's kind of the framework that I have gone and set up my practice behind. And I help women, mostly moms, and mostly those that are working busy moms. Everybody's busy, but this specific group of people figure out how to live in a body they love. You know, we've gone through so much change. And the other part of where I first started was purely around supporting this group of people through the changes that they're going through using all of the tools and resources that we have access through IPE. But then I started to realize that they're so focused around wanting to lose weight and having these body transformation goals that I figured I'm going to go ahead and, basically hack into diet culture and kind of take over their minds and bring them over to the light side of the world and give them this opportunity to see their body transformation journeys in a totally different light. And so I've really done a lot of my work. I'm a Team Strong Girls coach. I sit on the advisory board for the Strong Fitness magazine. And I've done work with, other brands in terms of modeling and body diversity, and really trying to get this message out that you can be everything you want to be: strong, happy, successful, loving your body, loving outwardly, being this happy, energetic person that you want to be. And it doesn't all have to surround your food and what you eat and how you eat. And you can redirect the energy that you've spent all this time about why you're failing on diets or why you're unable to stick to something, and seeing that as this giant failure and redirecting your energy towards things that are going to actually build up your life. And that's really where I spend a lot of my time. So a lot of my women initially come to me wanting to lose weight. Many of them do. That is part of the work that we do together. However, the biggest transformation that they all go through is in their mindset, and the fact that they never really have to diet again after our work together, and they're able to really just truly love and accept themselves. And that's been the most beautiful transformation I get to go through every day, is really just giving back to this incredible group of people that I get to support. And I kind of see it as like I'm hacking into traditional diet culture, but like reframing it. It's really fun.
Oh my gosh, such important work you're doing in the world. I would love to just hear your wisdom even more around so let's say someone is coming to this training or finding this training and they're really worrying about their body image, and they're like, I can't be a coach because of XYZ things about my body image. What piece of wisdom would you have to offer them?
I would say that the one, you will learn so much about your own relationship with your body in this training, and that shouldn't discourage you. How you look should never discourage you from learning something new. They're completely different things. And what you will learn will actually help you on your own personal journey, but then support you even further, more deeply with the clients that are going to be attracted to working with you. And that really is the crux of it, is that the moment we can step away from that fear that we have of how will I be perceived for trying to support in this area of work because of how I look, the more we can start to separate from that notion of fear, the easier it'll be for us to go on that journey. And that's like usually where we're needed most, is where we feel a little bit of fear and discomfort. That's usually where we should go. At least that's been my experience. And the second part is that's where some of our insecurities lay too, right? Is that fear, that self-judgment, and what we think others will perceive us to be lacking because we don't necessarily fit into what society believes we should look like to be allowed to do this kind of work. And all of that is really only just these internal self-judgments. And again, the moment we can allow ourselves to acknowledge those thoughts, reframe them as opportunities, is the moment we can actually step through that doorway and say, okay, this is actually where I need to go, because it's going to give me the tools to manage those emotions, those self-projections, and all those different things a little bit better, and then potentially help someone else to do the same thing. It's also why I keep challenging myself in the work that I keep doing to show up regardless of how my body chooses to change over different periods of time and what's going on personally for me. So it doesn't change the work I do is strong. It doesn't change the work I do to help other clients change their physical appearances or to not change their appearances to accept where they're at. It has actually nothing to do with how I look. And it just has everything to do with what I can give to that situation. So the more we can reframe what we're bringing to it other than the physical, I think the stronger the case is to just keep moving forward and go for it anyway.
Oh my gosh, so many amazing pearls in what you just said. I saw Joni and Jessica, you wanted to add something. Jessica, do you want to start?
Well, everything she said is so perfect and spot on. But I just wanted to add that we need more people who are courageous enough to be vulnerable with exactly where they are at, because, we live in this world where social media and we're putting our best foot forward as often as we can. But there's so many, there are some wonderful people that are already being so vulnerable. And I think like the more that we can have people expressing exactly where they are now in their own imperfections, like the better off the world will be.
Yeah, so well said. This work is not about you having everything figured out or being perfect. And that actually, the more that you step into, hey, this is just where I'm at. And Jordana, as you were talking, I got this imagery of it's kind of like this, like train track. You are on your journey. Your client is on their journey. And actually, your journey is going to inform how you maybe want to support your client's journey, but they don't need to overlap. You can be where you are healing your journey and also be a support to someone who may be on a similar journey. And like we've been talking about, and what Mark talks about, is you only need to be one step ahead. Your train is a little bit further down that track than your client, and you still have so much to offer, even with everything that you might still be working through as well. Joni, what did you want to add?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I mean, I can totally resonate with what the ladies were sharing and such powerful points. But in the beginning, I definitely felt that insecurity and that pressure of I need to lose weight to show that this works. And it was an ever evolving journey with that. And I didn't necessarily lose the weight that initially I thought I needed to lose in order to feel confident in my body. But then I had this huge epiphany around this, which is that actually this makes me so much more attractive to the people that I work with, because when I'm talking about, learning to love and accept and embrace my body, I am literally showing that and demonstrating that to them. And maybe if I had reached that, ideal goal weight that 15-year-old me thought I needed to be, maybe I wouldn't be that relatable, because it's very easy to say, oh, I accept my body when you look like the ideal that's being portrayed out there. So that was really a huge, I guess, epiphany, but also a relief, and allowed me to let go of that judgment and connect with clients even more.
Yeah, so beautifully said. That actually exactly where you're at on your journey right now is maybe the thing that is going to be the most useful pieces of wisdom and insight that you're collecting to support someone else on their journey as well. And that actually doesn't have to be something that holds you back from stepping into being an amazing coach. It actually is an asset. So, Jenny, I would love to hear about anything you want to add to this. Feel free to, but I would also love to hear about your practice. And I know you wrote a book and published a book, and I would love to hear about your book and even how, going through the training helped you write that.
Yeah, thank you for letting me talk about my book. But it's called The Body Image Blueprint, and I really felt inspired after going through the body image module that I felt like I was ready to tell my story and also go deeper and learn about sort of the etiology of why we all dislike our bodies and where does that come from and how do we heal that collectively? How do we get past this place where, young and, old alike are loathing our bodies, like how much that keeps us so small and unable to accomplish our goals if we're so focused on every little calorie we eat and everything we do. And I just felt very, very inspired after going through the program. Like, I got to get this material out in the world. I've got to tell my story and weave in all of these concepts that I have learned through this mirror work and all these amazing things that I've learned. In terms of my practice, I'm a highly sensitive person and I'm an empath. And I like to work with people who are also very sensitive and soulful and who struggle with emotions and processing and digesting emotions, because it really feeds into the work that I do around emotional eating and stress eating. And I feel that if someone can hold space for people to like make their emotions right and be okay with those emotions and to learn how to sit with them and to understand them and to befriend them, good or bad, then it also allows people to feel their resiliency in a way. Like once you're able to learn how to like sit with emotions and process them and move forward from them, it's all very much connected to the nervous system too. And I work a lot with pleasure and with I was very, very interested in mindful and intuitive eating from the program. So I went and got a certificate in mindful eating, and then I went into culinary nutrition. So, like you said, it's layers and layers. Like just learning what I learned, I was like, okay, this is incredible. And all these offshoots of interest come from that too. Like I wasn't, like digestion wasn't something I was like passionate about. Now I'm implementing it in my business because it's so connected to everything else too. And so it really just informs so much of my practice. Even though, like everybody else, I was working with clients right away because a few of my clients had actually come with me when I left my job. So I had sort of like a built-in practice, which was nice. And like everyone else said, it just sort of built and grew from there. So
Oh, such important work that you're also doing. And, I love that you're all pointing out that each one of you took away something different from each module and something that maybe you didn't even know. And I hear this a lot from our graduates of that they would feel drawn to. Because not only do we go through, yes, dieting, yes, weight, yes, emotional eating, binge eating, all of those things, but we also cover digestion, immunity, energy, like all these other things. And then someone is like, oh, I wasn't expecting to learn this in this training, but this all connects to everything else. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your practices and where you've been at. And I would love to, wrap up here of if there was someone on this call right now that's considering the training, is there any like last piece of advice that each one of you would kind of give someone considering, stepping into the role of being a coach and going through this training? Jordana, let's start with you.
Don't wait for tomorrow for what you could do today. So eventually you're going to basically be like, man, I could have already started to help people. And there are people who are waiting for your help. So the sooner you can step in and just start that journey for yourself, the sooner you're able to give that gift back to somebody else. And that's really, my mission now is to like create impact. So how do you create impact is by continuing to learn your journey and support that for other people. So don't wait any longer.
Oh my gosh, so beautifully said. Jessica.
Yeah, I think if you feel called to serve people in this work, then do it. I think it's normal to have a lot of self-doubt and to think, "Oh, it's already saturated and people are already doing it better than me." But it's just so important to have your voice because everybody brings something unique to the table. And there just isn't, just like there's no one diet, there's no one way to become a coach. And I think that IPE is just like a really great way to get started.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that in as well. Of the coaching profession has really exploded over the last many years. And that if you're seeing, oh, I know so many coaches or I see so many people starting a coaching practice, the missing piece is not, oh, it's already been said or it's already been done. It's actually you. And so you are going to present this material and give your wisdom in your very own unique way. And that there's going to be someone who needs you who you uniquely are, and everything, your personality, your wisdom, your life experience, that someone needs specifically you to be their coach. And so if that's also a little, internal dialogue that you're playing out, the missing piece is also it's you. And so taking this leap and like, okay, I've wanted to be a coach. I've wanted to do this training. That there is someone who is waiting and looking for you. Joni, let's go to you.
I really love that you said that. Someone else, another mentor of mine, shared that essentially if you feel called, it's because people are calling you. And so what I would really say is if there's anyone here watching, check in here. Up here, it's all going to say all the reasons why you can't do it and why you shouldn't do it, but check in here. And if this is saying, yes, I want to do this, then follow that. The rest you'll figure out on the journey. And if there's anything I've learned is that honestly, business and coaching is the best personal development journey. So you are in for one hell of a ride.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Yeah, it's normalizing that yes, this journey is going to be such a strong mirror, and that's okay. It's going to call to you to look at the places that have maybe been in the dark for a really long time. And if you feel called to doing this journey, even really now, and you're feeling like you are 90% there, there are things that we will be there for you every single step of the way to explore the things that have also been kind of maybe feeling a little scary to look at. And that's maybe what's been holding you back of stepping into being a coach. Well, it's like, ooh, I know if I do this, I'm actually going to have to look at this other thing. And like, we've got you. We're going to hold you so much in that exploration. Jenny.
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much what everyone has said, just in terms of you are the gift. Like, in terms of like, you don't have to have any special training ahead of time. Every webinar you've attended, every book that you've read, every meeting that you've gone to, all your life experiences, who you are on a soul level, that's what's going to help and support somebody. So, I really want to reiterate, just go for it. And like, you're going to be scared, and it is scary when you haven't coached before, and you're worried, like, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to do the right thing? And I would say just be authentic and be yourself, because that's who they're looking for. You're the gift. You're the gift that they need. And if you don't put yourself out there, how are they going to get the help that they need? So it's incumbent upon you to like say, okay, there are people out there who need help, and I'm not going to shrink away from that because of my own insecurities. We all have the insecurities. We all have our doubts. And I would just say, absolutely go for it, especially if you're passionate about it, because you can never do wrong if you're passionate about what you're doing and you're expressing that in an authentic way and you're connecting with somebody in a very genuine way. They're going to get the help that they need. They're going to be supported by you. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, thank you so much for normalizing that fear is going to be a part of this journey. And I like to imagine it as if fear was just your best buddy. I was like, all right, let's come along for the ride. You're going to be here every step of the way. And your fear doesn't get to make your decisions for you. It's acknowledging and noticing that your fear is there, and it's your buddy, it's your ally. It's actually trying to protect you in a million of different ways. And you get to stay kind of in the driver's seat, calling all the shots. So, oh my gosh, I loved sharing this last hour with all of you. This was such an amazing, powerful conversation. I just love connecting with all of you. So how can individuals follow up with you, learn more about your work, keep in touch with you? Let's kind of go around again. We'll go in the opposite order. So Jenny, let's start with you of how can individuals keep in touch with you?
Yes, thank you so much. So the best way is through my website, www.JennyEdenBurke, it's just my name.com. And I also have a Facebook group called the Empowered Eaters Cafe that all are welcome. And I keep in touch with a lot of folks through that, daily content, challenges, all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Joni.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Joni Cito, and I've also created an amazing resource for people who to help them understand what their food cravings might be telling them. So if you head over to jonicito.com/quiz, that's a fantastic resource that can help you understand which of the 4 hungers might be popping up for you, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual.
Awesome. Love that. Love quizzes. Jessica.
Yes, there are 3 places you can find me at pathnutrition.com, or please come follow me on Instagram at path_nutrition.com. And I have a podcast called Wait a Minute, and you can listen to that wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, I love that title. Jordana.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. You can find me over on Instagram at Jordana Nativ or over on my website at coachjordana.ca.
Wonderful. Thank you so much all again for being here. And if you're listening to this and have yet to connect with us on social media, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube and Pinterest and LinkedIn at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. And on Instagram, we're at Eating Psychology and also at mindbody_nutrition. And if you want to connect with me personally, I'm on Instagram at _Stephanie Mara. That's Mara. And you can also find me on Facebook, also at Stephanie Mara. So thank you again to our graduates for sharing everything you did with us today. I just appreciate your honesty and everything that you've been through and where you're at. And I'm so excited for where you're all going, also in your ongoing coaching adventures. To hear more for our listeners, to hear even more experiences of our graduates, we'll be dropping a link to our graduate testimonials from even more graduates in the comments section. And soon we're going to be sharing more details about our upcoming March 2022 term, which is happening it's starting March 8th. So the training is by application only. So if you'd like to go ahead and apply for the training, you can do so at the link that we're also going to be dropping in the comments. And in tomorrow's event, Mark will interview another one of our graduates, Elise Bucelis, eating psychology and nutrition expert. Elise is the author of Food Story, Rewrite the Way You Eat, Think and Live, and the host of the popular podcast, Once Upon a Food Story. Elise will share how the unique body of work she learned in the Mind Body Eating Coach certification training completely changed her life, both personally and professionally. She'll share about why our body of work is a must when it comes to masterful coaching and how it has provided the foundation for the amazing career path she's created for herself as well. So I am looking forward to connecting with you all tomorrow, and thank you again for tuning in today and being here with us. If you also have any questions about the certification training or literally anything else, email us at info@psychologyofeating.com anytime. We always get back very, very quickly. And thank you again just for being here and looking forward to talking with you all again very soon. Bye.